you watched a lot of football this weekend. Who are your three most impressive teams? Let's go. Everybody give their three most impressive teams for this weekend.
Gabe, kick us off.
You want me to lead off? Okay.
Yep.
I think my first team, most impressive team, I'm going to have to go with Georgia. I knew they were going to be impressive, but what they did to Clemson was just downright, like, they made Clemson look absolutely foolish. Carson Beck, 23 for 33, 278, 2 TDs. They ran the ball relatively well, no matter who was in there. They don't seem to be that lost. I mean, people were asking about who he's going to throw to on the outside. They don't seem to be that lost in that category. Played a really good defense and still looked good. Landon Humphreys was solid. Arian Smith, I think people have been waiting for him to pop. Guy who probably runs like a 4.2, 4.3 40. He looked pretty good. I mean, he was more of he had 5 targets, caught all 5 for 56 yards. Looked solid. You still have Dominic Lovett. Dylan Bell was pretty good. I was very impressed with Georgia altogether. And then defensively, they got after Clemson. Clemson, I thought they were going to be better this year, but their run game was about as trash as I could possibly imagine.
And Cade Klubnik still did not look like that dude.
Yeah, they had no business even trying to run the ball against Georgia. 23 carries for 46 yards.
Yeah.
They just couldn't do a damn thing. So Georgia's my first one. My second one is going to be a little bit off the board for some people because they're not going to – I mean, it's a game that went under the radar, that everybody was assuming that, you know, the home team was going to be able to give this top 10 team a run for their money, but the top 10 team went in there, even with a rain delay, handled business. I like Penn State this year, and I'm ready to be brokenhearted. You know, I'm ready to hop in and be brokenhearted with James Franklin at the end of the year. But Drew Aller is very efficient, really good ball player, does not turn the ball over, only had 2 interceptions last year.
Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are awesome.
3 touchdowns and 0 INTs. But then the big thing is Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. Nick Singleton really popped in this game, 13 carries for 114 and a touchdown. But Katron Allen was their leading rusher last year, 900 yards. So I really like that part of them. I think defensively they are a delight to watch. They have a guy by the name of Kevin Winston Jr., their safety, who is just one of the most sure tacklers in America. You have a guy in Abdul Carter, who didn't really have a very good game, but it seemed like West Virginia was worried about him like the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best player on their defense.
Yeah, they went out of their way to try to slide to his side and make sure he couldn't get after the passer. But I love that Penn State team. And to go on the road into that environment, West Virginia had the Pat McAfee show there this week, and they had 9 wins last year, and they were, returning a lot of starters. They went in there and just completely took the hope away from West Virginia from the kick. So I thought that was impressive. And then my third one, I'm going to go with Tennessee. I know they played Chat. I get that. But my biggest thing, I think, and I know a lot of people have these outlandish takes already about this kid. Nico Iamaleava, I'm going to have to say, I think by the end of the year, we may be calling him like a top 3, top 4 quarterback in the SEC. He is exactly what you expect him to be. Yeah. Super efficient. He fits this offense like a damn glove.
And for 6'6", he moves so well.
I mean, you just get amazed with how big he is. Like, he doesn't look 6'6" because of how he moves. But 22 for 28, 313, 3 TDs. I think this is the next great iteration for the next couple of years with Nico of Tennessee football. And I think, we'll see what happens this year. But by next year, we're going to be talking about this team. If Nico stays, which he should, we're going to be talking about this team in the SEC title conversation. And they were a dark horse this year, but next year I don't think they'll be in that dark horse conversation.
Yeah, I had some overlap there, so I'm going to try to go different. Obviously, Georgia is at the top of the list. They had the most impressive win of the weekend, but I'll go different for my 3. First off,
I saved one for you. I tried to save one.
You did. You saved one for me, but I'll start somewhere else. I'm going to start with Alabama, and I know they played Western Kentucky, 63-0, kind of as expected. I think they were only 38.5-point favorites, which was insane. But the whole offseason, it's been Saban's gone. Can Kalen DeBoer carry it over? Alabama's going to go downhill, yada, yada, yada. They looked incredible on both sides of the ball. I mean, Jalen Milroe looked the best that some of the best he's ever looked. He looked faster this year. He looked even a little bit bigger. He's always been pretty jacked up, but he looked even bigger this year. He looked faster. He was accurate. His downfield passing is incredible, as we've seen throughout his tenure at Alabama. 7 of 9, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 80 rushing yards, 2 more touchdowns. It reminded me of those old like Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa stat lines where he completed 7 passes for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what it always was with those guys. And Kalen DeBoer has been incredible with quarterbacks. So if we see Jalen Milroe take another step forward this year, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised at all. And for everybody that was like Alabama is just not going to be that team again this year, they look incredible. Even in a game, I know Western Kentucky, it's not going to tell us too much, but
that's not a slouch though, man. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Western Kentucky is going to compete in the Conference USA. Like they're not bad at all.
Right.
That's 8-9 team every year.
Yeah. And it looks like they could have another great receiver in 5-star Ryan Williams, 2 catches for 140 and 2 touchdowns. He looked awesome.
Right. That Jalen Milroe ball to him, though, across the middle was a
laser
rocket.
Yeah.
That was a laser beam. The other thing about Ryan Williams, why did everybody give like Jeremiah Smith, Cam Coleman at Auburn, and Jeremiah Smith, of course, from Ohio State, like 5-star true freshman? Why did everybody give them like a whole bunch of credit, but when it came to Ryan Williams, 5-star true freshman at Alabama, everybody was like, let's wait on him. Let's give him time to develop. I'm like, this guy's a stud too. He was a top 3 receiver in this class. Why are we taking our time with him, but not these other guys?
Right. Jeremiah Smith looked incredible too, though, with 2 touchdowns. And
but Ryan Williams probably won the day.
Yeah. 2 catches, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's hard to top. So Alabama's going to be my first team because I know so many people have been debating if they would look as good this year. What's a non-Nick Saban Alabama coach team going to look like? And they looked like one of the most impressive teams of the weekend, in my opinion. Secondly, the one that you left open for me is Miami, 2.5-point favorites against Florida in this game. They blew the doors off. Cam Ward looked so good. Go ahead.
He just looks so chill and so relaxed out there, man. Like
calm, confident, poised, takes his shots. That Miami offensive line is a monstrosity. Like they are, they should have a very, very good offensive line this year. And Billy Napier, if it continues like this, he is not going to make it through the season at Florida. I don't know if y'all have seen, but they have what many people have called, just based off strength of schedule, previous season stuff, they have the hardest college football season of all time.
Yeah.
And like I said, this was a game they were only 2.5-point dogs against. They were, for some reason, I guess because they were at Ben Hill, they were expected to compete and hang in this game when the talent levels were clearly in favor of Miami, and it wasn't even close. It never was. Miami kind of took off from the beginning, and Florida never had a shot. They're weak defensively again. I think they lost their last 5 down the stretch last year, now making it 6 losses in a row in the regular season. It does not look good for Florida, but it does for Miami. And what's that receiver they have?
Hey, real quick, friend of the program, Chris Day from the Commercial Appeal, was telling me at the Memphis game, because he's a Florida fan, he said, he was like, man, my team was good. He's like talking about the schedule, and he said Miami is the 8th highest rated team they're going to play on their schedule this year.
Yeah.
And Florida is number 1 on Miami's schedule. He was like, he's like, their schedule is crazy.
Brutal.
Crazy.
It's brutal.
Well,
they play
but at
8.
the same time, I think Miami is way better than even their preseason ranking shows.
I agree. They're better than Florida State, who was 10, but just from the opening of the season, Florida had 8 top 20 teams that they had to play, Texas A&M being the lowest ranked at number 20.
They kicked their ass, guys. I think we really need to like focus on that fact. To go into the swamp and kick their ass like that is crazy. Miami hasn't done that since the early
100 yards.
Miami hadn't done anything like that since the early 2000s, since we were talking about the U, right?
Yeah.
We have not been like, this is actually a legitimate Miami team that I think the rest of the country probably looked at that game. They're like, damn, that's scary. That's college football playoff caliber team.
Yeah, because the last thing I'll say on this, and then I'll go for my last one, is everybody's been enamored by Mario Cristobal as a recruiter because he's been incredible throughout his career. But we've been waiting to see the on-the-field product in the recruiting line. And I think the biggest thing he's been missing is the quarterback position. I mean, they had Tyler Van Dyke, and everybody wanted to tout him as a potential first-round NFL pedigree. He never was that. He never
at Wisconsin this weekend?
Do what?
You see him at Wisconsin this weekend?
Yeah, exactly.
They have Wisconsin has Tyler Van Dyke and Phil Longo.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you bring in that much bad juju?
Yeah.
They barely beat Western Michigan.
Yeah. So Mario Cristobal finally has a quarterback in Cam Ward, and Miami does look scary. So those two, and then it's hard not to go with Notre Dame, even though it was kind of an ugly game. At worst, I could say Notre Dame's defense as a whole was probably the most impressive of the weekend. I know Texas A&M, Connor Wigman had huge hopes going into this season. A lot of that was just based on, pedigree and some of the flashes that he's shown. But they completely shut him down. Benjamin Morrison leading the way in this secondary, which is arguably the best secondary in the country. And they just whooped A&M up front on defense all game. It never looked like A&M could get anything consistently going. Marcus Freeman, incredible defensive mind in college football, and he had Connor Wigman seeing ghosts all game long.
And we had the meme of the century from Mike Elko, the new coach.
Yeah.
Run
the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Tell him to run the fucking ball. And I understood exactly what he was saying. They couldn't do anything through the air. I mean, at least try to just pound inside zone at these guys. And see what happens.
Yeah, Connor Wigman finished 12 of 30 for 100 yards and 2 interceptions.
I mean, he's one of those, like, he falls into this category of a bunch of these SEC quarterbacks that all these SEC voices always lift up before we even see if they're good or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I until last night, I thought Nussmeier was one of those guys as well at LSU.
He's solid.
But everybody just consistently, it's like, oh, man, if they get their shot, they're going to be unbelievable. First round pick. And then they play, and you're like, I don't know about that, Yep. I think you're hyping up somebody that doesn't need hyping up. But SEC fans tend to do that, if you haven't noticed.